By this point, it's pretty clear that China, and not Russia, is the top threat the United States faces globally. China has far more people, a much larger economy. They're also far more aggressive. Their hackers steal more U.S. secrets, military secrets, and intellectual property. Their state-owned companies have far more thoroughly penetrated the American economy. Senator Marco Rubio is one of the few lawmakers trying to spread awareness of the threat we face from the Chinese government. To that end, he just cast a protest vote against the defense funding bill. Afterwards, he spoke to us in his first Fox News interview following that vote. Senator, thank you for coming on tonight. So you have, for the first time, voted against the National Defense Authorization Act as a form of protest, if I'm getting this right?
Yeah, and hopefully to get people to notice, we did something about allowing this Chinese telecommunications company to stay in business. I personally don't believe we should be allowing any Chinese telecommunication company to do business in America because they use it as a tool of espionage. They do it all over the world. And what I mean by espionage is not just like listening in on people's calls. I'm talking about taxpayer-funded research at universities. They steal it, and all of a sudden it shows up in their products. I'm talking about intellectual property of companies and key industries. I'm talking about defense secrets, and we are creating an environment in which they can put backdoors into servers and steal these things from us. And let me just make one more point, because at the intro you kind of touched upon it. There is no greater threat to the United States because China seeks to replace us, and we're still struggling in this country because for the first time since the end of the Cold War, we now have a near-peer adversary, and a near-peer adversary that is looking to overtake us. And frankly, we're helping them, and we're helping them not just by giving them business in our country, but through trade practices that have allowed them to cheat and steal for 18 years.
There are reports, and there are many stories like this, but here's one that has emerged in the news recently. Google apparently is planning to do the bidding, in effect, of the Chinese government to censor its search engine in China, helping to prop up an authoritarian regime. What should we make of that?
Well, we should make of it that American companies, by and large, who like, for example, to march up and through the country here and take up on all sorts of social issues and lecture society, have no problem helping China censor, as an example. But it goes deeper than that. I don't know if you know or are aware of Project Maven, in which Google was working with the Department of Defense to help them with targeting, actually would save lives by allowing the military to avoid hitting civilians. Well, because of pressure from their employees, Google no longer works with the Department of Defense. However, they work in partnership with the university in China that provides all the technology assistance to the Chinese military. So it's just one more example of this rampant hypocrisy of American companies who are more interested in making a few dollars, gaining access to the 1.3 billion person Chinese market, but have no problem, on the other hand, cutting ties with the country that allowed them to exist in the first place, the United States.
So they're serving the police state but ignoring their own country. Is Russia doing anything on the scale that China is here?
No, very different. I mean, look, Russia is a country. The economy of Russia is $2 trillion. That's their GDP. That's the size of Italy's and Spain's. They have nuclear weapons. We've got to deal with them because they have nuclear weapons. They have some pretty good conventional capabilities, and they are going out and doing the sorts of things to sort of pit us against each other and sort of. It's not in favor of one political party or the other. They just want us to fight against each other. That is important. The Chinese threat is critical. Russia has no ability and no willingness to overtake us in the geopolitical stage. China seeks to replace us. And they used to hide that intention. Now they're pretty aggressive and open about it. And it's time we open up to that reality and start fighting back. We most certainly should not be helping them do that by allowing them to steal our intellectual property and our military secrets.
So why is nobody saying this? Why is every single news conference out of Washington about Russia and no one's saying anything about China? I find it odd.
Well, you know, we're in a better place than we were 2 years ago, but not where we need to be. You know, we spent about 17 years. The conventional wisdom was that China was a poor country, and if we just help them, let them cheat, let them steal, because once they get rich, they'll behave like us. Didn't work out. That was a terrible idea, and we're paying the price for it now, which is why I support these tariffs. Look, I don't like tariffs. You know the best way to get rid of these tariffs is to be willing to impose them yourself in retaliation. That's the only thing they'll understand, and you're seeing the impact of it already. The Chinese economy is beginning to struggle as a result of this. We got a bunch of people in this country that want to unconditionally surrender or allow China to do anything they want in America so long as we get some crumbs for our companies in terms of doing a little bit of business over there.
As long as Google gets richer. Senator, thank you very much for that perspective. It's unusual and needed. I appreciate it.
Thank you.